In the year 4836, the city of Washer was prospering. In its era of cultivation, the bustling utopian city was at peace. Until an unexpected creature descended, causing chaos and destruction. The giant frog-like creature caught everyone off guard, and the citizens were terrified. Fortunately, the magic squad, protectors of the city, arrive on the same to handle the situation, while they battled the monster, a carefree boy named Wang Ling Rome. The city, Zhu Ye, one of the members of the magic squad, spotted him and saved him from danger. He then advised Wang Ling to go home and stay safe while he rejoined the scene. Fast forward to the present day, when a statue of Zugi stands at the entrance of the school in Wash Hell, commemorating his heroic deed of defeating the giant frog and saving the city. Wang Ling, a freshman in high school, was being bullied by senior students for his lower force level. However, Sun Rong, a magician with a high force value, intervened and offered him help. Unfortunately, Wang Ling embarrassed Sun Rong and left her alone. Later, a test to measure the freshman's force levels was announced using the incarnation of the giant frog, one by one. The students entered the arena to be assessed. Sun Rong came out with a score of 2019, which made the school cheer for her. Then, it was Wang Ling's turn to take the test. Seeing him, the frog grew worried, and it was revealed that Wang Ling was the boy saved by Zhu Yi. Furthermore, he harbored an infinite force value that he had hint. He was the one who defeated the giant frog in the past. With his turn to take the test, he came out, defeating a frog with a score of 9 infinity. The school looked down in amazement and doubt. After the test, the first class of summoning spells began. The students attempted to summon creatures, and Sung Wong summoned a skeletal beast. Wang Ling, on the other hand, summoned the frog itself. The teacher then turned the frog into a dog, and the class gathered around it. In the meantime, Wang Ling quietly left the class, leaving behind the memory of his incredible force value and his heroic past. In the world of Wang Ling, extraordinary abilities were not unusual. Even as a baby, he shocked his parents by birthing himself. As he grew up, he discovered he had the power of mind reading and would often use it to stop his parents from arguing. However, at the age of 6, he failed to control his powers, and his family decided to keep a low profile. To avoid unwanted attention, Wang Ling's father devised a plan to help his son contain his powers. He applied cultivation technology to amulets to help him control his abilities. Meanwhile, his mother made sure he took the golden pill regularly to suppress his powers. Wang Ling knew. His parents were worried about him, so he tried to stay ordinary at school. However, when the class president election came around, he couldn't resist joining in. Sun Rong and Shin's Ho were both running for class president, with Sun Rong attempting to bribe students with gifts. Wang Ling decided to ask for 5 votes for 5 packs of dry Raymond, but Sun Rong tried to sway the vote in her favor. With an incantation of seduction, as she turned around, she discovered that Wang Ling had left her the golden pill to balance out his bid. She took the pill without realizing its true purpose, causing her powers to drain. Later, during a lesson on the incantation of seduction, Wang Ling wondered if Sun Rong had accepted the golden pill, and if she was aware of its effects. He gestured to her, but she misunderstood and took the pill, causing her to fail, and called upon to demonstrate in class afterward. Wang Ling's teacher talked to Jolie on the phone and described Wang Ling's capabilities at home. Sun Rong was frustrated over whether Wang Ling was a friend or a foul. The students of the class brought their furnaces. For a pill refining lesson, Shell brings a massive copper furnace to impress Sun Rong, but she walks past him and approaches Wang Ling instead. Wang Ling notices a crush spell on her and swiftly pops it, leaving her flustered. The instructor quickly explains how to begin pill refinement, and the students get to work. However, Chincho's furnace explodes and Buho shows office. The class is dismissed, and Frankie tries to eat Goose Furnace to evolve back into his demon form, but is caught by Wang Ling outside. Meanwhile, Sheen's Hao runs laps in, grows weak as a devil. Trans takes over him. He becomes insecure and furious over Sun Rong's liking of Wang Ling and stumbles off days. Go-Han catches Wang Ling with his furnace and demands an explanation. He shoots a purple liquid at him, but it lands in Chen Chao's mouth behind him. Chen Chao collapses, and they take him to the lab, too.
Cure, in with an antidote. Before the class resumes, Froggy 2 snakes into the lab to swallow the furnace, but he is caught again. Wang Ling and Go-Han learn about his power to control timelines, and use him to speed up the anti-go process and administer it to change out. Soon the instructor arrives and Bahao attempts to stab her, but fails. She finds Go Hao's perfect pill and Wang Ling's failed one, Go He Grow Soft. Thinking that Wang Ling had swapped to save him later, they repaired Chen Chao's furnace and a friendship blossomed between the three of them. Sun Rong asks Wang Ling out on a date, while Chen Chao subs, unaware that she is the target of the shadow faction's assassins. The fashion sense is Wang Ling's powerful presence and attempts to take out their target. However, Wang Ling receives a call from his teacher, causing the assassins to leave when they realize they have lost their target. News of Wang Ling and Sun Rong. Dating spreads rapidly on social media. Wang Ling is taken to see the joint honorary master, Immortal Joey, who recognizes him as the gifted boy. Joey falls to his knees and calls Wang Ling master, after which Wang Ling performs his 50 memory erasing spells. The next day, Froggy 2 informs Wang Ling about the assassins, and Wang Ling wakes up from a nightmare of Sun Rong. Asking him out outside his house, Wang Ling finds Sun Rong, waiting with bodyguards and limos. Encouraged by his parents, he leaves with Sun Rong for an amusement park owned by her family. Unbeknownst to them, the assassins have arrived at the park. Wang Ling obstructs the assassins while performing his 50 memory erase trick on Sun Rong. Meanwhile, Joey watches from below and calls the magic squad when he notices the assassins. The assassins climb into the Ferris car with Wang Ling and Sun Run. Sun Rong recognizes them and stands as a barrier to protect Wang Ling. Wang Ling impressively off the assassins. Leaving Joey on his knees in amazement, he then performs his 100 promise spell to lock the memories of the day as a secret in Sun Rong's memory. Rather than erasing them and sealing them away, one night the leader of the Shadow faction was furious and issued a shadow kill order for Sun Rong. The next day at school, Sun Rong catches up with Wang Ling, Genshin, and Guawa, and they are briefed by their teacher about the protection order. For Sun Rong, Joey claims to intercepted the assassins yesterday as instructed by Wang Ling, and the school is put under tight security with bodyguards, security guards, and the 7-star squad. Despite the measures, 3 of the Shadow faction assassins, Fang, Su Ying, and Shu Xin, infiltrate the school and head towards the kids. Shufeng is spotted on camera by Joey in the office, while the kids are too carefree and busy on their phones. Ying is intercepted by the teacher and trapped, while Shufeng is intercepted by Froggy 2, who sucks out his spiritual and life essence. Khan, the strongest of the assassins, prepares with his powerful hammer and invisibility inside the office. Meanwhile, Wang Ling gets a notification for his dry ramen delivery and heads outside. He swiftly sees through Shin's invisibility, upon which Teen grows agitated and furiously decides to drop everything and attack Wang Ling. He strikes Wang Ling with all his force, but his hammer is useless. Against Wang Ling's infinite force, Xian's hammer cracks like a weak little egg against Wang Ling's head, and the assassination fails again. James here runs out, explaining the victory of his master, but Wang Ling once again erases his memory and instructs him that he's the one who defeated X, Yuexin, Song Rong, Chen Shell, and Go Hao. Finally, Wang Ling's friends, Song Rong, Chen Shell, and Go Hao come out to find Wang Ling, injured in Joey's arms. Wang Ling was at home, pretending to be on sick leave, inside a high-tech healing machine provided by Xiang Wang. While he was inside, Xiang Wang and the boys came to visit him and brought a chicken blood injection that would fuse Xiang Wang and Wang Lang, spiritual forces, helping Wang Ling to heal better. Shen Chel then reveal a spiritual testing wristband that was sent by their teacher for Wang Ling to take part in. Along with the others, Shan Wang insisted on Wang Ling taking the injection before the test. But Wang Ling denied it, saying that he was feeling much better. Shen Chou explained that this test was different from the entrance, assessment, and measure the spiritual power, connected outside of an individual's body, which was a true measure of cultivation force in another faction at the Shanghai school. Meanwhile, at the other school, students tested their spiritual forces, and Ting Jinjie scored a striking 4370. And led the top 10 list of spiritual forces in the city as the students cheered for him back at Wang Ling's house. Go Hao and Shan Wang took their turn to test their spiritual forces. Go Hao scored a measly number, while Shan Wang scored a 4015 and took second place, despite placing his energy in outer space. However, Wang Ling was detected by the wristband and ended up at the top of the list with a no score at Song High School. The students noticed Wang Ling's score and wondered if there was a bug in the system. Later, Wang Ling, together with Bu Hall, attempted to hack the Cultivation Council School League system. Unaware that Tom Jingja was also hacking, in the hopes of finding out Wang Ling's score, Gohan recognized the arrogant tangent, but ended up clumsily alerting the system alarm, and both hackers quickly exited. Tom Jingja failed to find out Wang Ling's score. However, Go Hao changed Tong Jingjae's name to Tong Birdie 2 before leaving, which didn't sit well with him. After improving your scores, Song Rong and Wine Lang have raised their factions, average to the point where they are now eligible to compete against the Song, have actions, 59th School, in the upcoming sword fighting competition. Meanwhile, Tong Jingxi has been practicing at the arena, which is now known as Tong Birdie 2. During an interview, he challenges Wan Lang and Song Rong, claiming that he and his team are ready to give their rivals or run for their money. Miss Pon pan objects to allowing freshmen to participate in the competition, but Jogi manages to charm her into letting them join. Froggy 2 is also added to the team, making it a group of 5 with a score of 5,000. They surpass Tong Genzi, who is once again humiliated after school. 1 second, the teacher creates a wet chat group to inform Chenchel, Song, Rong, Fujitu, Yu Hao, and Wan Ling of their selections for the competition. Excited and proud, the students shared pictures of their impressive swords. In the group chat, Qin shows off his massive sword, given to him by his father, while Go Hao proudly displaces Sun Rong, surprises everyone, by revealing that she has multiple, outstanding spirit swords. The group presses Wan Ling, asking if he has a sword of the zone, to which he unimpressively replies with a simple yes, back at sea on high school. Ang Jingjing is determined to beat the faction of 60 participants and suggests including a mysterious and supposedly powerful man named Hebu Fang. In their team, Hebu Fang beats up the students assigned to Calvin for the competition, but is left curious and wondering why they need him to compete. Wine Lane contemplates whether he could use his powers. In the upcoming sword fighting competition against the Songhai faction, he searches for a sword and goes to his parents, who are too busy watching TV to help. Suddenly, breaking news reports an explosion at the Shadow faction's headquarters, which is being cleared by the Immortals. Wine Lane climbs to the attic to retrieve his spirit sword. A little boy, but the sword awakens. His force suppression talisman is weakened. The next day, the students and teachers gather to leave for faction. 59.1 Lane brings his tiny sword and is laughed by the other students he secretly plans to play sick and quit once they arrive. However, Joy is informed of an issue and arrives at the news of the Immortals capturing the boss of the Shadow faction, but it turns out to be a decoy, and the real boss chuckles in her car. Satisfied that she has removed the impediment between herself and her target, she follows the students to faction. 59, on the bus, Wine-length spirit sword awakens, and he bribes him with dry raiment to stay low. Upon arrival, the students are received coldly by faction 59's team, and their teacher, Miss Gaire, who also has a rivalry with Miss Pan, evaluates Wang Ling's force value with a trick. The trick triggers Wang Ling's talisman of force suppression, causing a huge blast. Wine Ling fails and Sean rushes to cradle him, while Tom Jingxi wonders if it's high. Boothfeng's work. Meanwhile, Ixog has nullified the Shadow Boss's blast. And as well, she receives news of her failure, but after witnessing Sun Rings. Affection for Wine Length, she leaves with a new plan in mind. Some wrong. Then follows Wine Lane, who's been carried inside on a stretcher. But they are stopped by Tom Jingzai. This leads to a taunting tussle between the two teams, and Tanging Z markingly guarantees Wangling's care. However, things take a strange turn when Wangling mysteriously bursts into purple flames. Michi quickly reacts and extinguishes the flames with bandages. Sunran draws at her sword, but their teacher, Win Zukong, interferes, and Michi also disciplines her students. Later on, Hai Bafong witnesses the scene at the infirmary, and the medic finds an empty shroud of bandages. Wanadlong has escaped, and informs his father about the talisman, who rushes to his aid. They decide to meet outside, and the students arrive at the competition area, where Hai Bufong appears and offers Sun Rong to join them, as their 5th member, with a rose. However, Sun Rong denies the offer. Chenzawa attacks after seeing Hai Bufong and Noise and Rong. But Hydro Fong retaliates and annihilates Chincha's arm with his powerful negative force. In an attempt to get outside Faction 59, Wang Ling enters the arena just in time to save Chinchel, but he ignores Hydrophone and, raging him, Hydrophone punches Wang Ling, only to find him void of any force. But he is surprised when Wang Ling swiftly takes his rose and passes it to Sun Rong, unknown to the other students. Meanwhile, the Shadow Boss hangs from the arena ceiling watching. Somewhere, Joey realizes the Shadow Boss's location and rushes to Faction 59. Hydrofong finds the Shadow Boss and tries to charm her, but upon turning him down, he calls her old Hydrofong. Zoom regrets his actions. Wang Ling, who has excused himself from the team to go get his ramen delivery, outside walks into Hydrofong being beaten by the Shadow Boss. The Shadow Boss kidnaps Wang Ling and Hai Bufong, leaving everyone else stunned and uncertain. Of what will happen next, the Shadow Boss assigns her driver to guard them, then stomps on Wang Ling's head, provoking his negative energy and compromising his talisman. However, the little sword boy distracts Wang Ling by reminding him of a dry ramen discount. Meanwhile, the boss plans to lure Sun Rong out by using Wang Ling as bait and disguises herself as Hydro Fang. To tell the others that Wang Ling has been kidnapped, Hydro Fang tries to butter his weight of freedom, but underestimates the powerful spirit of the infantry, who brings the news that the attractive Shadow Boss is the kidnapper. Upon hearing this, Team 60, led by Sun Rong and her guards, leaves to rescue Wang Ling. Mikey advises her students to observe them in a real battle before the competition, while Tom jings. He doubts Hydro Fang's decoy status. Soon, Sun Rong and her guards arrive to engage in combat with the driver. But Hai Bifang is stomping on the floor below. Sun Rong rises to face off with the driver alone, but is overpowered by the Golden Cavalry. Just as Sun Rong is about to be defeated, Wine Lane turns back time and takes care of the driver, with Shi Ali already present to take credit for helping, with the competition being called off. Wine Lang leaves the real Hai Bufeng under the care of his sword spirit. However, the Shadow Boss joins the 59's team as Hai Bufeng on the day of the competition as teams enter the arena. Wine Ling's father finally arrived, but it was too late. He is received by Sally, who informs him about the broken talisman. It's revealed at the start that Wine Ling's talisman blocks both his force in emotions during a competition. Isabel's hacking skills led Team 59 to land together. At the Altar of Earth, she also manages to locate everyone except for Wine Ling, who lands in the same area as them, but is eliminated by Tong Jingxi. However, Wine Ling survives due to the substitute dolls that give in life. Team 59 then splits up to come back Team 60, or capturing the Altar of Earth. Hivu Fang lands near Froggy 2 and captures the Altar of Fire, while Gu Hall follows Leon Fi, who is heading to eliminate Wang Lane at the Altar of Wood. At the Altar of Metal, Jen Shao loses to Isabel, who deploys a nervous system interfering spell, making him hurt himself. She then ceases the altar, and the announcement of Team 59's seizure is heard to cross the arena. Meanwhile, at the Altar of Water, Tong Jings intercepts Sun Rong and is joined by Hydro Fang. It's revealed that the Tong and Sun families have had rivalries with each other. Tong Jings uses his snow-blowing trick and successfully obstructs Sun Rong's efforts to battle, but before Sun Rong is defeated, a loud blow is heard, and Liang Fei shoots across the sky and gets eliminated. The huge impact causes the ice to break, and Sun Rong escapes. Team 59 is now one man down. Tang Jing ceases the Altar of Water and tells Hydrofang that he doesn't know who he is, but if he supports him, he'll help him get whatever he wants. After the competition, upon capturing a fifth altar, Team 59 is awarded a speed-up bonus, but it halts, as the announcement of their capture of the Altar of Wood makes its way into Shang Wang's earpiece. Go. How announces that? Wang Ling has merged with Froggy, 2 with the Altar of Wood. As the competition progresses, tensions rise between Go Ha and Wang Ling. Go Ha engages in a battle with Leon Fei, using his mouthken and spell. Meanwhile, Wang Ling Adley sits by and does nothing. Go Ho starts flinging insults toward Wang Ling, triggering his emotions. As Wang Ling loses control of his force, negative energy erupts, and Froggy bites him to devour his energy, but instead, Froggy merges with him, creating a spirit being that's insanely powerful. Wine Lane then slightly touches Ling Fi, sending him flying and getting him eliminated. The members of Team 59 panic as they realize they underestimated Wang Ling. However, Tanging, Z devises a plan to avoid Wang Ling and keep watch over the altars while rotating, he deduces that since they lost a member, they lose altars if they move to combat Team 60, and with ultimately so come to Wang Ling, meanwhile spreading a smile across his face, and Wang Ling's father tears up seeing his son smile for the first time. However, Team 50 quickly retrieves the altar and flips the score back to 4-1. Sun Rong drops in and decides to put down a plan to come back. Team 59 and their strategy, Wang Ling realizes he can't win the game alone, with brute force, so Sun Rong together with Goha controls the waters and distracts Lianzhang, attempting to take the altar of fire. Meanwhile, One Lane reaches the altar of water and seizes it. At the altar of earth, fake Hebu Fang chuckles as he remembers his promise to make Team 59 win, and sets off to act as Hebu Fang approaches. Qin Shale guards the metal altar. They clash again at the altar of fire. While Go Hao and Sun Rong battle Lianzhang for seizure, Go Hao throws a mouth cannon, but Lianzhang trips and causes the cannon to miss and hits Sun Rong. Who is trying to seize the altar at this moment? Tong Xingzai arrives and sees Ting Jingzai. Sun Rong is reminded of their family rivalry and refuses to lose. She tries to land a sword on the altar, but fails because she needs to hold it to seize it. Tong Jingzai lacks in Rong over Team 60's dire situation, and he sends Isabel to keep an eye on Wang Ling at the altar of water. At the altar of metal, Chen Chao does his best to avoid Hydrofang's blows, as advised by Sung Wang. He falls weak and desperately tries to stop Hydrofang. Go Hao sees the sensitivity of the situation and decides to unleash his sword's power. Sun Rong's sword spirit also combines with Go Hao's sword spirit, creating two powerful spirits. The mighty arm spirit helps Qin Shell suppress Hydrofang, while the fire phoenix spirit blows Tong Jingzi and Ling Zheng off, giving Sun Rong victory. Tong Jingzi realizes that Sun Rong is no longer an insecure girl, as the announcement is made of Team 60 taking the altar of fire. Surprisingly, the same time, the announcement is made of Team 60 taking the altar of wood from Team 59. Team 60 is nearing victory, and Chenchel, who is losing to a Foundation student, has finally broken through her disguise and rage. Sun Rong's plan was the key to Team 60's victory. She instructed One Lane to separate from Froggy 2 and float over to the altar of wood, while Froggy to remain the altar of water. In Wang Ling disguise, Isabel was keeping a watch and sensing the obvious victory. Go Hao headed to Chinchel at the altar of metal, while the Sunrond headed toward Wine Lane. At the altar of wood, Wine Lane was on the brink of losing control of his negative energy, but Froggy to sense the urgency and headed towards him, despite being desensitized to the world. From a young age, Sun Rong's, Light and the Guy's company revived Wang Ling's emotions, and he developed feelings for Sun Rong just as he was about to give up. Sun Rong appear, and they see the altar together. Meanwhile, Froggy to arrive in time and froze time to stop Wang Lane from erupting, but he broke through. And when All Maniac, on the Shadow Boss, continuing his onslaught, just as he was about to kill her, he remembered Sun Rong and regained consciousness, leaving the boss begging for death. Froggy to explain that Sun Rong was warm and breeding because he had stopped time. If time flows, Sun Rong will pass away. And it's impossible to bring her back. Wine Lane morons over Sunrond and decides to restart the world for the sake of saving her. Wine Lane had already restarted the world 4 times, but nothing seemed to change. The events leading to Sun Rong's death in desperation. Winey Lane turns to Froggy 2, who reveals his power to control time. Wine Lane bags Froggy to turn back time, but this would require a massive spiritual force. Undeterred, Wang Ling merges with Froggy 2 and they turn back time. When Wang Ling wakes up, he finds himself on his first day of school. Everything seems familiar, but he experiences visions of Sun Rong and moments of deja vu, the confusion. It turns out that the merge forces of Wang Ling and Froggy 2 have created a new world, is slowly destroying the old one. Meanwhile, Sun Rong has entered the underworld, and the god of the underworld realizes the destruction that the world will face. He decides to send Sun Rong back to the land of the living, and she is revived. Long Ling. Spirit Sword explains everything to Sun Rong, and they decide to destroy the new world to save the old one. In the new world, Wine Lane goes to Heavenly Paradise, but he feels overwhelmingly empty as Sun Rong makes cracks in his world. Suddenly remembers Sir, and she manages to destroy his world and waking up. They are reunited and time turns back, bringing everyone back into the games. This time, Wang Ling knocks out the Shadow Boss before things spiral out of control. Faction 60 rejoices in victory, and Sun Rong as well. She runs over to Wang Ling, but they are stopped by the interviewers. Wine lengths. Father finally arrives with the talisman, but he has to make a choice. He can accept the talisman and go back to having dormant emotions, or he can have a relationship with son Rong. He chooses world peace.